Welcome back to the Stay Broke podcast. Today we're joined by North Carolina's own Davis88. From his early days in Rockingham to landing singles on the top 20 national radio charts, he's built a unique sound shaped by country, rock, and hip hop. We'll dig into his journey, his music, and the business side and see what's next. Jordan, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
I guess the reason we're here today is because we did a benefit show together to support Jack Stables and the Samson Project. Mm-hmm. But besides that, I'm not a big music guy. So tell me who you are, where you came from, kind of what got us here today.
Well, like I said, I'm from Rockingham. I've lived all over Carolina through school or work, etc. Probably 2015 or so, I was in grad school, started going out to Nashville to make connections in music, producers, studio musicians, and got some buddies from those adventures and have kind of continued working with them over the years. I guess I really started in undergraduate because I was a high school athlete, so that did not continue on to college, so I needed a new hobby or passion, I suppose. I just kind of started out picking guitar, learning chords, and playing with the instruments to kind of understand their relationships to each other, and that eventually led me to try to take vocal lessons, and I was encouraged to try writing a song, and so everything just kind of snowballed.
So were you always artistic, or was it more of an athlete and you weren't into the arts, and this just came out of nowhere?
Yeah, well, in my hometown, sports were bigger than arts, unfortunately. Maybe it should not be that way. But I enjoyed arts, art classes, and competed in art Olympics, but that was about the extent of my art exposure at that age. So it was a lot more sports focused.
Okay. Did you just start taking lessons, or like how'd you start to get into it?
So when I was in undergrad, I just kind of randomly got an itch for something else because I wasn't playing sports, so I was really just studying. So I kind of picked that up. I tried to take lessons, but they're kind of stiff in college classes. You know, I wanted to learn rock songs, and they want you to learn scales and circle theory, and I was more interested in how to play Metallica. So that didn't last very long, and I just kind of went back to YouTube, to learn open chords, and tried to play drums and kind of just understand the relationship between all the instruments, so I know what I want when I get to the studio, or if we're playing a show, I can communicate with the band a little better. I play some for shows, like for the benefit show, that was more of an acoustic setup, so I was playing that whole show. When I do my original performances, I usually bring a full band and kind of just stay on the mic.
Okay. So you're more of a vocalist and a songwriter?
Yeah, primarily.
Okay. So writing the songs, what was the idea behind that? Like, were you trying to just do it for yourself, or like the idea of hearing somebody else play your music someday, or so that you could start a band and go this direction?
Yeah, sure. Well, first it was I had to get comfortable singing, and I'm still not that comfortable singing. But I had a friend down the street who actually was a music teacher. So he kind of encouraged me to try singing, and then he encouraged me to try writing. And I thought it was fun. I had to get out of kind of he was more folk music oriented, and that really wasn't my style. So once I could break away from that, I was able to kind of find my, I guess, niche or scene. I grew up on nu metal, was what I listened to a lot. So like Limp Bizkit, Kid Rock, Korn, late 90s stuff. My parents listened to country and Bob Seger, so I have an appreciation for older stuff as well. And then I kind of took all of those and incorporated them at some point, depending on what the mood is.
Before you went to Nashville, did you start to get into the local music scene?
I tried, yeah. So I would go to open mics, and I'd probably play covers, and then I'd do an original every once in a while. Those are tough sometimes because you're just playing to other musicians, and not in a competitive way, but they can be supportive and you can make connections that way, so they're good, but they don't always advance you much. And if you can make strong connections then you can maybe get gigs. But like I said, with the style of music I was trying to do, open mics weren't that efficient of a path. Okay. And then I kind of started grad school and some other things, so I wasn't playing out very much. But I kept writing, kept doing projects, and kind of putting it online and seeing what I could do with it.
So where were you living during that time, I guess, whenever you were doing the open mics and stuff?
Sure. Well, I did a few when I was an undergrad at Wingate University near Charlotte. Then I transferred to UNCW. So I did a few in Wilmington down on Front Street. I think it's closed now, but a venue on Front Street called the Soapbox. Yeah. So I played a couple there, and that was fun. It's a fun venue. And some of the other bars in the area. Then I was back at Wingate for grad school.
Okay.
A couple there, and I produced my own shows. Like in hometown, I did a few at the community theater, and we get okay turnouts for those. But it's tough to break your hometown out to some of that, because they're used to seeing you one way, and you're doing something a little different. So.
Yep, it's tough to go outside your comfort zone, and especially be around people that you know, and like.
Yeah, and so if you're doing something that they're not used to, it's tough for them to buy it.
Yeah,
and that's okay. That's natural, but.
Yeah, I'm dealing with that now. Putting my face all over social media and all this stuff. All these people that knew me, many years ago, they don't know what to make of what I got going on.
That's tough too. Social media is tough for me as well.
Yeah.
Just putting stuff up and figuring out how you want to frame yourself. And
how do you like the Wilmington music scene?
I liked it, and I think it's still growing. They've got new venues. They just I don't know how old that new amphitheater is.
Right.
Many years later. The one that's by the water.
The one on the lake?
Yeah.
Greenfield Lake
Theater. Yeah, that's it. I haven't been to a show there. I've heard a lot of people that...
Yeah, it's a nice place to watch a show outside. I've been to a few there. It seems like there's a lot of more, like you said earlier, it was folky type music. That's real big there. It has a huge art scene, and then with the, you got the studio there, so there's a lot of acting and plays, and I've seen a lot of. I used to live in Wilmington.
Oh, okay, yeah, I loved it there. I could live there again.
Yeah,
if the opportunity presented itself. But
I gotcha.
So, a good historic downtown area, lots of cool stuff to do. So.
I'm trying to think. I even know some big people in the music scene down there. Kevin. He's a painter.
There was Cape Fear Studio. I'm not sure if that's still open, but a guy named J.K. Lofton ran that, and he was a nice guy, great guitarist.
Right. Kevin Rhodes, he was a drummer. He had a bunch of stuff. He was heavily involved in the music scene down there, but I don't know what kind of music he played.
Oh, okay.
So what made you decide to start going to Nashville then?
I had a friend who had a connection with a producer out there, and so I met him one day and played him some demos, and was just trying to figure out how things work out there, because they're not the same as other studios.
Yeah.
They operate on the number system, and at the time they were still doing a lot of studio sessions. Now so many people have home studio setups that are so good that the traditional studio sessions are kind of going down. They're not having as many.
Yeah.
And especially if you're those two do a lot for country, and from what I'm seeing, but I think they have a good music scene overall. Music City, they have it all. They have a hip hop scene, they have a rock scene, but country's still the kind of what everyone.
The main scene out there.
Yeah. Even all the honky tonks, or you'll hear more rock songs going down just any given night, then you hear the traditional country stuff, and you don't hear Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and as much as
it's more country pop and country rap. And
exactly.
It's all blending together.
Yeah, I mean, I hear Rage Against the Machine 2 or 3 times every time I go down the street. Yeah, and I mean, it's fun. It gets people amped up. But that's not what I would have pictured, if I had not been there before.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of fun. Nashville's a great time if for whoever visits. It's got so much history still. They are closing a lot of the studios, but that's just progress with the times, I guess.
Yeah. So I think you put out your first EP when you were still in Wilmington, right?
Yeah, actually I did. Yeah, and J.K. Lofton helped me record that, and we did a show at the community theater in Rockingham, my hometown, and that we snapped a picture of the marquee, and then I graded it kind of dark and orange and black, and we used that as the cover for the EP. It was okay. It was definitely evident that it was my first go round.
Yeah.
But it was fun, and it was a good learning experience. So I did cut another EP with that producer I met through a buddy of mine in grad school. And that was 5 or 6 songs, and those were progress. They were good. It's getting a little more rock, but it was still, his experience was in folk music, so we kind of missed the mark there too. We didn't quite get the standard out. Yes. But I got good experience there in how the sessions are run, how studio musicians operate, number system. Just everything to consider going into a project, and how to save money, or how, just by being prepared. You can go in and just be creative, but it's going to cost you more because time is money in the studio. But and like I said, that was a good learning experience, and we put that out, and I didn't do as many shows with that. I tried promoting at radio, and we did get a couple top 20 songs, and those are regional radio. The charts were national. They were so Friday Morning Quarterback. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it charted that. So it was cool to see your name with like Justin Timberlake and Taylor Swift, but it might not be as big a deal as Billboard charts. Sure. So, but that's okay. It was neat, and it was a good experience. But that Spotify hadn't quite become what it is now, and streaming hadn't really. It didn't dominate quite as much. It was kind of still
that in between period.
Yeah. So so we didn't really have that one on streaming, and then. I just kind of kept grooving with projects, and would do a song here or a song there. Might play a show or just an acoustic thing, kind of like the benefit show we did back in July. Play local bars, and I kind of kept doing it, but it was not the primary drive at the time. So that was probably 2018, 19, and then pandemic.
Okay.
So that kind of killed some momentum, and then once we came out of the pandemic, I started recording again, and just kept doing stuff in the studio and posting online, and then now we're gearing up and doing shows. So
okay. So what? We talked about it a little bit before, but you said that you're working a full-time job and a part-time job. What are you doing full-time?
I work for Parks and Rec.
Okay.
And then weekends I'll caddy with Pinehurst.
What do you do for Parks and Rec?
Events coordinator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the summer I was doing like summer programs.
Okay. What area do you live in?
Rockingham, or the old drive.
Oh, so you're still in Rockingham?
Yeah, I mean, I've bounced back and forth. I was in Raleigh for a while when I was commuting to Moore County. Then I was in Moore County for a little bit. I'm on the move a lot. Yeah, I can't seem to get settled anywhere, but that's okay. It keeps it interesting.
You like working for Parks and Rec?
Yeah, It can be fun, especially good programs, and when you start developing new programs, and depending on if you're doing sports or like leisure activities, like dance classes or music classes.
Okay.
So
you're coordinating a whole variety of things, not just like a one-time event, like programs.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the day thing, and then still doing. Like I'll go to Nashville in 2 weeks on the weekend and work on new recordings, new songs.
Okay. Do you have a full-time band that you're playing with now? Or?
Yeah, no, I still do hired guns. So I got a group of guys. We're playing the show next Saturday, and I just met them a week ago.
Okay.
And I reached out to them. Kind of through community networks and Facebook and stuff, and a couple through word of mouth, and then bringing another guitar player in that I worked with in Nashville, and she's coming in and gonna play with us as well. So,
what's the thinking behind that? Is it just the accessibility and like the freedom that you don't have to commit to being a part of a full-time band, or?
Yeah, and the show we're doing. Next weekend we're going to film, and it's kind of a high-profile show for me. So I'm just bringing in a extra player or two that I might not use for like a bar gig or something of that nature. So this one's just a little, I guess, more important, or we just want to go big for this one.
Get some eyes on you for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good. And then when you go to Nashville to record it, do you have a group that you usually work with there, or it's just whoever's available?
So that is evolving so much as well. I started where I would do demos either on my laptop or with a guitar player in a studio, and then I take it to Nashville with me, and we record in the studio with a group of guys. And then now with technology and all you can do with computers, and people are doing so much with AI now. It doesn't take as much to get the songs written. Still takes a lot of work after you start piecing things together. So it just depends. Sometimes we'll still do a full session recording. Sometimes we'll just put some guitar in and a drum loop and chop things up and edit, and it's kind of fun. Purists might not like it, but it sounds just as good to me and everybody else. So
seems like everything's heading that direction.
Yeah, it just depends on what you like and what your style is, because they've been doing something similar for decades. So hip hop music's really good at that.
Yeah,
where they sample things and make hit songs out of samples from old stuff and oldies. I always thought that was cool, so we're experimenting.
So do you have like a little makeshift studio at home now?
I still do a little bit on my laptop, especially with demos, but my producer that I work with in Nashville has a full office computer rig and was set up with all the Pro Tools and software and gadgets and stuff I don't know how to work. So we'll dive into stuff and just, if I have a specific idea or specific something I want to make, we can usually do that, or we'll call a guitar player or drummer to come in and put down some tracks and then layer on top. Or sometimes I'll just sit with an acoustic or a piano and strum the chords out, write the melody and lyrics, and we're good to go. We'll just edit on top of that.
Okay, yeah, that's the next thing I was going to ask. Like, what's that process look like for creating music or writing a song?
If I have a notebook or paper on me, sometimes if I have an idea or hear a phrase or something I like, I'll jot it down, or I'll just put it in the notes section of my phone. Sometimes that can riff off and you get verses or a chorus out of that, and lyrics. Sometimes if you get a melody, I'll record it on my phone and just save it. And then sometimes we just build a track and I just listen to it a few times and try to write over it. Sometimes that sits on the shelf for months or a year until it makes more sense or come up with something else that fits better. But I do it different ways. It just depends. But It's a lot of fun. Sometimes it's like putting a puzzle together.
Okay.
So, or for me, I can't speak for everybody. Some people just have a fluid moment and write it start to finish. That doesn't always work for me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wish I could do that. But
we hope you're enjoying the interview so far. Thank you so much for watching. We feel so fortunate to be able to book such amazing guests as we're getting this thing going. One thing you could do to help us out is just engage with these videos. That will get it seen by a lot more people. We can spread the story so much further if you just give us a quick like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Anything you feel comfortable with would be a huge help. Enjoy the rest of the interview. What do you enjoy about, or the most? Do you enjoy the music side, the lyric side, or tying everything together?
Yeah, I guess I get excited when I can tell something's coming together like how I'd like it to be and writing the song. And if I think I'm getting the sound or the vibe that I want out of it, or lyrically, if it's like, okay, those are really cool lines. We got something cool here. Let's make this work. Let's get to the next step of this. I guess playing shows, it's great to play shows, but like I said, I'll get guys to come in and play, but it's just those usually cost a lot to put their shows on. So that's a challenge I'm in right now, is figuring out how I can do shows and kind of afford to do shows
right
at the time. You know what I mean? So it can be challenging, but if you pull it off, it's a lot of fun. So
okay. So I'm not like I mentioned, I'm not big into music, and whenever I was thinking about this interview, kind of the thing that hit me was like, our artist entrepreneurs, and that's what I started thinking about, and started doing a little bit of research, and then think about the business side of it. Like, there's such a big business side to the music stuff. Have you started diving into that at all?
Yeah, I'm kind of, I guess, plan for the future, so to speak, or figure out ways to kind of make your music, earn your money. One of the cool things that I've been trying to kind of learn more about how to get that opportunity is sync licensing. Or the like shows or advertisements will use your music. So that's a really good way. And it doesn't have to be like a Netflix show. It could be an internet show, or advertisements online, or radio ads. I mean, they'll use it. There used to be submissions you could do to try and get that, but really it's another one of those you have to make connections and kind of know where to reach out to and where to plug your stuff.
Okay.
When you're doing shows, best way to make is through merch. So you always try to have a merch table or something set up online so you can kind of pinpoint and go talk to people after the show, like, hey, go grab a shirt or koozie, here's a sticker. Follow us on Instagram. So that's the idea with that. It's a tough business to start being lucrative. It's tough to break into, and it's tough to make money. And helps to have backers, sponsors, support. But if you keep knocking on enough doors, I guess you'll figure something out.
Yeah. Do you feel like the more traditional path that you're taking, like going to Nashville, meeting people, networking, is the better way for you to go with your music, opposed to like the really diving into social media and YouTube and trying to put, get the content out and get discovered on there?
It's probably probably for me would need to be a combination. You still got to know people, but the more you can build up your social media, the more you can, I guess, create opportunities for yourself. I've struggled with social media, but I'm getting better. I think you really got to chart out a plan, and that's something I'm still trying to iron out, but we're getting there.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot more than people realize.
Yeah, well, really, it can become a full-time job, and I don't think people really consider it that, who aren't
or a full-time job for 3 people.
Yeah. There you go.
You know, initially I was like, oh, I'll just start doing, videos with my phone and putting them up. And I was like, man, these are terrible. Not necessarily the video quality, but like, how do I add all the words to it? How do I do this? How do I,
how do you edit it?
Yeah, all the editing stuff. And
what are the rules for what can be posted, what can't be posted,
Yeah.
what get flagged, etc. Yeah, that can be frustrating.
so then bring one person on, and now we're starting to cover, a fraction of it, and it's like, okay, now we need to add another person to focus on this stuff, and like to build that without waiting for it to happen organically. It's just, it gets expensive quick.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think the biggest thing is just starting to do it. My problem is I can't do anything a little bit. So I go from like, oh, I'm just going to start doing some social media posts to I'm going to make a post every day for the next 365 days. And we're going to start doing interviews, and we're going to do at least 3 shorts a day too. It's like, so now we're 94, or what's today? 94 days into it.
Oh, okay, good for you.
So sick of being on camera all the time.
Yeah,
because it's all day, every day.
Yeah. It's I guess you can get kind of used to it though, maybe.
Yeah.
But it can be uncomfortable for some people. Sometimes for me, but I don't know. I've done a lot of content. And I've done a lot of had guys with pro gear shoot content, and then I'll have a video I shot with my iPhone that's grainy and you can't barely see anything, and that is more successful than the pro video. So it's finding what works. I mean, it's tough to tell. You go, well, once you find kind of something that works, you got to analyze it and see how you can recreate it or use it to do something down the road.
We're dealing with that. We just had our first, viral video, and it's like most of it's a blurry video of a knife, and it's like now there's 750,000 views, and it's like, all right, now how do we recreate that? So we actually tried putting it, because we had more videos just like it. We put those up, and they did nothing. So it's like cracking that algorithm is tough.
Oh yeah. It can be, for sure. I mean, I haven't had anything go that. I had a couple TikToks get a couple 100,000, but
yeah.
And then trying to figure out things that figure out how you social media, like you can promote. Like, well, okay, what's going to be worth my marketing budget to promote on social media, and what's going to be the best way to use that and gain from it. So social media is tough. Because it's always changing and kind of growing or developing and then changing again. And, there's Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and then there's TikTok and all this. I mean, TikTok kind of boomed from the pandemic, and it was breaking a lot of artists. And now I think it kind of varies. It was how you made it a few years ago.
Especially during COVID, right?
That was it. TikTok. TikTok. So I was a little late on the TikTok train because I thought, it was kind of marketed at first. I thought it was a kids app.
Yeah.
So I didn't think anything of it. And then, they start breaking people. I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe we should pay attention to this, which is probably how a lot of people, or adults, I guess, maybe reacted to it. But
yeah. You talk about the time restraints, especially if you're working, full-time job and trying to make all these connections and do all this other stuff, then fit in time for that. And that's again, I just tie everything back to business because that's what we focus on. But it's like taking something from a side hustle and fully committing to it, and it's a hard thing to do, especially in industries like this where there's so many other people trying to do it at the same time.
Oh yeah.
What do you think it would take for you to make that commitment, or what's stopping you from being all right, I'm done working, I'm going all in on this?
I think my hesitation is you get too comfortable with a consistent kind of paycheck, or the security you have in your day job, and then I think you just and maybe it's something I need to do, but it's just that slight hesitation of all right, well, I'm just going to go for broke and maybe be broke for a little while.
Right.
And that's tough to do, especially as you kind of become a little older as an adult. You're not fresh out of college. So
Yeah.
it just depends on how you view things, I guess, and kind of what your goals and priorities are, and what you think you can tolerate until you do something with it, I guess.
Right. Because one of the, I forget who said it, but one of the best ways I heard it explained was like, all right, look at the job you're working now. If you quit it today and you dive into your passion and your passion flops, can you get another job doing the same thing? Versus, can you get that time back chasing your passion or chasing whatever you're after? So like, I try to go into everything with that mindset. Like, if we crash tomorrow and like I lose a bunch of money on this adventure, at least I tried it. You know what I mean? And like,
Yep.
I can make money again. Like, I'll figure that out. I can always go get a job. So I try to focus on that. But now that I have a bunch of kids and all these other things and employees, people relying on me, it's like it makes it harder and harder as I go. Mm-hmm. But I think that's what, what's gotten me to where I'm at, I guess, is just being willing to risk everything on certain days and then trying to figure out how to hang on to it and stop risking stuff. I have the opposite issue. I try to do too much and like, all right, things are going good. Now let's go try something completely different and see if we can do it again when there's no real need for it. But I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, it can be a good perspective. I mean, nothing wrong with ambition.
Yeah.
Nobody got anywhere without it. So
I guess let's talk about do you want to talk about the show that we met at all, or like what you got coming up?
We can talk about that one and we'll dive into the one coming up.
Yeah. So we were at, we both have a relationship with Jack Stables, and they've met Hannah on the channel here multiple times. But
okay, cool.
She was launching the Samson Project and having her 10-year anniversary for the barn, and we were doing some of the media and then helping her with some different things at the time with her business. So that's kind of how we ended up there. And that's Travis had just come on, so he got to go in and do a lot of the video recordings and all that stuff. What did you think of that show? Like, how'd you end up there? And tell us a little bit about your experience there.
It was a great show. Hannah told us she was celebrating her 10 year, and she invited us to play it. They were looking at a couple artists, I think. They ended up with on Jason Michael Carroll because he's his hometown.
Right.
It was nearby where they were going to have the event, and I think it turned out great. Had a good crowd there. Good support for him. I got to meet him. Real nice guy.
Yeah.
I thought his set went well. He played all the hits and some new stuff. We had that little hiccup with.
Yeah, we had the hiccup in the beginning.
but it was such a quick recovery.
He played through it too. Like he's.
That's when you know somebody has strong vocals.
Yeah.
I'm just all right. We'll set the mic to the side. I'm gonna sing y'all a cappella.
Yeah.
And I get it done. That was definitely a pro move. So it was fun to watch, and it was fun to watch a pro handle that kind of situation.
Right.
So that was a lot of fun because I got to sit on the sound guy's truck right beside the stage for most of that. So that was neat. And he just stood there by himself. I don't think people really consider how kind of difficult that can be. Just you, a guitar, on stage by yourself. Because I brought a few guys with me, so that was we had a lot of fun. But yeah, he was. Jason was impressive to watch, so we enjoyed that. As far as our set went, it was a lot of fun. It was just so hot. It was so hot that day, so I was sweating the whole time. I had to keep wiping my hands like I was slipping on the fret of the guitar. But we sounded good. Like I said, it's not really anything close to my original stuff sound-wise, but I like playing that kind of stuff. I mean, just their event, acoustic guitar, cajon drum. We had a fiddle player, and we kind of just jammed to a lot of covers we thought Jason's crowd would vibe with a little bit.
Okay.
We had a good time. Some couple country songs and some classic rock songs, and it was a lot of fun. So we were glad to be there and be a part of it.
One thing that impressed me about Jason Michael Carroll was him going through a crowd. Like, he took the time to stop He talked to everybody like he's known them his whole life, which I know some of the people he did, because like you said, it was his hometown, but just watching him just be there and be a star to these people and like engage with them, like that was impressive.
Yeah, but then, like you said, he walked out into the crowd after his show as well and just spoke with whoever wanted. He took.
That's right. He hung out. I was breaking stuff down, but he hung out for quite a ways.
For everyone. Yeah. So that was not a lot of guys do that. So that was something to take notice of as well.
Yeah. So that was a little bit smaller show. Most of the people that were there to see him.
Yeah.
Right. What about this show you got coming up? It's another benefit, right?
Yeah.
And
for Operation Anchor, the nonprofit disaster relief group.
Okay.
So they were stationed in Western Carolina last fall for Hurricane Helene.
Yeah.
So they're doing a lot of work there, but so this is just a event kind of getting their name out some more and hopefully raising some funds for the next calling that they have.
But this is a little bit bigger of a show, a different audience, right?
So yeah, this fits a lot more into my original stuff. So it's Josie Scott, the former original lead singer of Saliva rock band that had 2 huge records in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
I mean, they went on to make more albums that were solid, in my opinion. But he left the band I don't know, over 10 years ago at least, I think. Anyway, so he's coming in and going to play all those hits and
nice.
A real rocking show. So a much different atmosphere than the Barn Bash show, but still for good cause. Should be a lot of fun. I get to play a lot more of my originals. They're more in that vein. Well, good time. It's at Motorco in Durham, October 11th.
Are they still selling tickets for it?
Oh yeah, I think the pre-sale ended. I think. I don't know, you might could still grab a deal.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but yeah, they're still for sale at Motorco at jackstables.com, and we'll probably start.
And what's the date? I don't want to.
Saturday, October
11th. Okay.
Yeah, I think doors open at 7. Shows at 7:30. I want to say.
So, are you working on new album right now? I think you've been releasing some new songs over the last year. Is that right?
Yeah, I had some come out last year, and I think we put out a cover and something else this year. I have probably an album's worth recorded, and then I'll maybe get another 1 or 2 done in a couple weeks when I go back out. And so kind of what I'm working on now is trying to figure out how best to release it. You know, you can still release a full album. Nothing wrong with that. I think as smaller artists, it's kind of shown to be more beneficial to either just release singles or maybe break them up into EPs.
Okay.
So that's like a 5 or 6 song set. You know, when I was younger, I didn't know what EP and LP stood for, and I was like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I mean, we're coming out with new stuff. When I was so how many songs are on it? So, yeah. But yeah, so looking forward to that. Got a couple videos shot for several of them, and one of them's kind of a traditional video, like full music video, and the rest are kind of catered more towards social media and vertical content and performance video. And so I got a lot of stuff in the can ready to go. It's just trying to strategize how to release it and what we want to put out first and time with this or that, because like, you know, we're looking to fill next year up with some shows and performances and things like that, so that'll all go into consideration on how we roll things out.
So what are some of the biggest challenges that you're having with chasing this dream?
You know, I guess kind of reverting back to when you were talking about how do you decide to go all in, or you know, are you gonna finally shift from hobby or kind of strong passion to, okay, this is now full-time business mode, and kind of really start putting your feet to the ground and going and getting opportunities and creating your own opportunities rather than waiting for something or somebody to present themselves. And so that's kind of where my head's at with it. I need to commit and really just really start making moves that kind of either, like I said, create my own opportunity or attract enough attention with the right whoever to kind of earn some opportunities. And
what are some things that you think you've done great or got a lucky break on? If you have anything that's happened that you're like that really changed things or sped things up?
I think I've made some good connections and friends in Nashville and other places, and just through meeting other musicians, you kind of pick up stuff, either how they're promoting or how you maybe get access to different venues or other opportunities, and kind of just learn from what other people are doing and try to apply that to your own plan, or take little bits and pieces from here or there and adjust it to what works for you. So that's, like I said, I've been fortunate enough to have made some good friends out in Nashville, so sometimes they offer helpful advice.
Right.
Whether that's on how to navigate putting the band together, or how to save kind of on budget for like the show we're doing next week. How do you save on rehearsal? How do you save on promotions? How do you save on, do we need this? Do we actually need, confetti for our show? Do we actually need, that second guitarist, or can we get by with one? What's worth it? What's not? What's new in tech? What can we benefit from? How do we use this properly? Is AI taking over the industry? So, it's nice to have folks who've been in the industry for a long time kind of give you some perspective on how they see things. And then, when you meet other musicians out that are kind of where you are in your stage, and kind of see what their thoughts are on things and what they're struggling with, and kind of compare that to where you are and what you might be able to do to change it.
What makes you different? How do you define your music, or like what separates you from the next guy? Like what makes you special?
What makes I don't know what makes me special. I think what will bring me in is music that I hear out now just seems so washed. And it doesn't, I always liked the music like the late 90s, early 2000s that had this particular attitude to it. Whether that was, System of a Down or Green Day, or, that political attitudes, or you got your Limp Bizkits and Korn, that have just macho attitude. It all had attitude. And it had, so I could relate to that. So if somebody relates to that style or that kind of focus, and it's like, there's something in my catalog that you'll enjoy. So, or if you just need something to work out to, some music to get you pumped up, I got that covered. But, we like to do good time music too. I got some songs about whiskey and going out and chilling, but if somebody's going to recommend, like, all right, well, where am I putting you on a playlist? Put me on the gym playlist. Put me on the workout mix. We're getting pumped up. So, and that's, we try to do that. We try to bring that to the show. So we played a show last summer in Rockingham at the Drag Strip, and I did it. They interviewed me after that as well, kind of like you were doing for Barn Back.
Right.
It's kind of a battle of the band style competition thing. And I think we were second to last to go on. But anyway, the guy was like, yeah, God, y'all had so much energy. Y'all had more energy than anybody out there. And I'm like, yeah, I thought we did pretty good. So, we bring energy. So I don't know if we're special, but I think people will dig it.
Yeah. Aside from energy, like, what's the message, or like, what do you hope people take away from your music?
I think sometimes I write songs like I'm talking to myself, like, go for it. That's the message in some of my stuff.
Yeah.
You know, do it.
Is it
swing big?
Is it like a good? Do you use it as an outlet? I guess. Like, does it help you to write your thoughts down, or to have that inner dialogue out on paper sometimes?
Yeah, it's fun for me to put that together because, you know, I guess the persona or something I might have on stage is a lot different than just sitting here.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a creative outlet, and then a way to kind of maybe push things in a direction not normally in the day-to-day. So I guess, I don't know if I'd say cathartic, that's a little too strong, but it's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a way to let it out, I suppose.
If you could, I guess, for the people upcoming wanting to get into the scene, or people that are just starting out, like, do you have one piece of advice that you could give to them?
Don't be afraid to start. When I first got going, I was they had to drag me to try and sing. And then they're like, oh, okay, we'll try writing something. Like, what? Yeah, but yeah, don't be afraid to start.
Did you have that period where you're like, when you first started, where you were like afraid, or did you have fear on coming out in front of people, especially people you know, and like the judgment and seeing that other side of you? Yeah,
for sure. I would get a little nervous because you know, just starting. You know, I tried to play in front of a few people, and I'd only been playing a year, so it was a little nerve-wracking to play guitar, you know, because it's really, you know, for some people it's extra difficult trying to play an instrument and sing. I think I was originally just wanting to pick up an instrument and just learn to play it. And when I first started, I wasn't going in to write songs or sing or record, perform. I just wanted to learn to play the guitar just for kind of fun. And, I guess a hobby. It didn't really feel like that at the time, but yeah. So it kind of turned into something else altogether.
Last question that I like to ask everybody that I interview, and I do this because once I figured out my definition of this, it had a huge effect on how I run my life, how I run my businesses, and deciding how to move forward. Mm-hmm. How do you define success?
I like Rick Rubin's answer to that. Once you publish, you're successful. And I think there's more layers to that. You know, you have to measure it differently, but just getting started, just doing it, and then pushing your art out, releasing it to the world. It's kind of a little hippy-dippy of a mindset, but I don't know, it kind of stuck with me when he said that. I'm like, okay, yeah.
Okay.
You know, push it out, release it. So that, you know, I kind of like that. If you know, some people might use money or charts or other measurements, and I think there's a conversation for that for sure. But just in its most simplistic, it's like, create it, release it.
One last thing, tell everybody where they can find you, where they can find your music, where they can come watch you live. Just go over all that.
Yeah, sure. So website's Davis88music.com. All the socials at Davis88music, Davis88. We got the show October 11th at Motor Co. in Durham, opening for Josie Scott, the original voice of Saliva. He's playing all the hits: Click Click Boom, Always, Hero, Your Disease. It'll be a rocking show. We're looking forward to playing, and we plan on putting on a pretty strong performance ourselves. So hope everybody makes it, comes out, rocks with everybody.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in and sitting down with us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Really.
Absolutely. I don't normally do this, but let's talk about the interview that we did today. We met with Jordan Davis, Davis88, and it was a fun interview, something completely different. Music's definitely not my industry. So meeting him for the first time and kind of going through it, trying to pick at the business side of it and try and understand what drives him and what his goals are. It was fun. It was, like I said, it was something different, and I always enjoy that. I just want to make sure it's clear that the reason that we ask for definition of success at the end of every interview is because I feel like it ties the whole story back together. And if you look at every interview we've done, whatever their definition is, it drove the choices that they made in their story. And, you know, I just don't want it to look like we were pushing or picking because he still hasn't went full time on his music stuff. And then when you listen to the end, hear his definition of success, it all makes sense, right? So don't let people persuade you. Don't let people push you. Know your definition and let that guide you, and you'll find your way to success. You don't have to try and achieve other people's version of success. You don't have to rush into things because that's what other people say you should do. So I just want to be clear about that. You know, normally I have a lot more time to prepare for an interview. This one kind of fell in our lap last minute, and we didn't want to miss out on the opportunity, and we appreciate his time sincerely. So I just wanted to give that little bit of perspective. So thanks for watching.